I just like to be around peace. And if you've went through and experienced as much pain as I have, I've been through a tremendous amounts of pain. Physically, mentally, spiritually. I've been through hell.
We live in a stereotypical society. We judge. We don't do it intentionally, but we unintentionally judge. If you see somebody like me, you gon' kind of not be afraid, but your antennas gonna go up. Then when I impute the knowledge and the wisdom that I impute, you hear my conversation, an individual has no choice but to be taken back. I can't say, man, if somebody disrespect me, I'm gonna do this. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But you disrespect me, we going platinum, because I stand for something. And I will not be disrespected by anyone.
In order to appreciate and understand great peace, you have to have went through and experienced great pain.
Me and you could be best friends for 20 years.
Right.
You do something, and I see that it ain't no coming back from that, what you did, that infraction, I'ma fall back. I love you, but I love you enough to walk away from you. I was incarcerated. I was reinserted back into society in 2011. I served close to 3 years that time, 31 months. They ain't give me 2 years. They ain't give me 2 months for my credit. So I served 31 months. And I believe that you're supposed to love all humanity. And I exercise that. Like when people look at my shows, they're like, why is it so diverse? You got people from all walks of life here. You got people that Asians, whites, blacks, everything, because I don't see color. It's only real and fake. And if you want me to be honest, most of the people that do the most hatred and talking about me are people of my own color. Me, I have a master's in psychology. I have a master's in psychology.
Oh, so you went to college and all?
No, I got mine in prison.
Okay.
But that's what I want for myself. Yeah. I want to get mine out the mud. I want mine out the dirt. I don't want no handouts. I don't want no celebrity to co-sign me and somebody to see me in the street and say, I remember when such and such put you on. No.
I choose to speak this way. I can use vernacular, which is proper English, but I like to use slang terminology.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because that's my culture. That's where I come from.
I could have signed with anybody I wanted to. I walked away from one of the biggest labels at the time. I walked away from Young Money. Everybody told me, you crazy. But you didn't see my vision. I don't listen to what go on around me. I take everything in. I want to smell it, I want to touch it, I want to feel it. And if my heart not telling me do it, then I'm not gonna do it.
Last time when an individual disrespect you, oh, it's game time. Punch him in his mouth. I ain't about no talking. That's not how you deal with a problem. When I detect that you not no intelligent person, by listening that you speak, I'ma stay out your way.
Me too. Stay out the way.
I'ma stay out your way. Y'all watching the evolution of Kevin Gates. Y'all are watching me grow in front of y'all faces.
When it comes to the world of music, it's easy to make generalizations about artists based on the genre. While it's true that many artists try to fit a certain image of what they ought to be like, artists have unique personalities and perspectives that may surprise those that are not in the know. It's much easier to assume or discriminate based on someone's appearance or record, but people often grow and change. And one of them is Kevin Gates, a rapper who is much more than he appears. Even though the hip-hop scene may often portray itself in a negative eye to those not familiar with it, there is a lot of undervalued wisdom in this subculture. Today we're going to dive into the story of Kevin Gates and show you why he's one of the talented artists that is underestimated and often misunderstood. We'll show you what we mean, but before we do that, go ahead and do us a favor by leaving a like on the video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the bell icon so you never miss an upload from us. And with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Stigmas in being misunderstood. Before we do a deep dive into Kevin Gates, we need to talk a little about why a lot of people in our world today won't go and give Gates the time of day to go and tell his story to the world. And sadly, it's for a very basic reason. He's a rapper. What's more, he's a rapper who's had various stints in prison. You see, the rap genre is not the most popular genre in the world, and it's honestly fair to say that part of it is because certain stereotypes and stigmas about it have been proven accurate about a majority of the people in the genre. Some of the most popular hits are a bit vulgar, speak about violence, and most of the time are explicit. Then you see how many rappers live their lives and you see danger, you see violence, you see abuse of various kinds, and most importantly of all, you can't seem to go a few months without a rapper, big or small, being killed in a way that only happens in this genre. All of these events play a part in how we perceive people in the genre, and as a result, most don't know or don't want to know Kevin Gates because he's a rapper and a convicted criminal. But if you honestly listen to his words, you're gonna find that despite what happened to him, he's a man who's trying to make the world a better place in his own way. His early life. Kevin Jerome Gilliard, yes, that's his real name, was born on February 5th, 1986 to a Puerto Rican mother and an African American father. He and his family relocated to New Orleans, Louisiana Louisiana before settling in Baton Rouge. Gates had an often tumultuous upbringing and was arrested for the first time in 1999 at the age of 13 for joyriding in a stolen vehicle as a passenger. Gates was briefly jailed for the offense and said that being jailed had a profound effect on his life. If they would have just pulled up to the jail, left me in the police car, never took me inside and just took me back home, I don't think I'd ever have done anything else again. But what it did was, by me going to jail at such a young age, all it did was criminalize me in a sense. It kind of steered me in the wrong direction after getting there and settling in. It took the fear of jail away from me. Now at first, you might think that this just shows how dark he is, but if you look deeper into it, you see that he was sorrowful that he didn't get that second chance. Remember, he was just the passenger in the car. He's not the one who stole it, and yet he was sent to jail for a while when he was just a kid, not even a scared straight night, but for a good amount of time. And him reflecting on that definitely shows the wisdom that he's gotten with age, because he no doubt wonders what his life would have been like if he hadn't done that jail time, and still that fear of it. Most rappers wouldn't care about that because they look at where they're at now and say that prison made them strong, but Gates sees the more important truths here. He lost contact with his father at a young age, but later reconnected with him as a teenager. His father died of complications from AIDS when Gates was 14 years old, and that right there is another key moment in the life of Kevin Gates, because not only was he in jail at a young age, but he lost the person that was meant to help guide him through life during some of the most confusing stages in his youth. As sad as it sounds, one of the biggest reasons why rappers are the way that they are is that they either don't have parents or don't have good parents. Look at people like Eminem. Father left, mom was abusive. 6ix9ine grew up without a father. Biggie Smalls, father left when he was 2, and so on and so forth. And you can see that they didn't have a lot of good direction growing up, and that's what happened to Kevin Gates. And due to that, he kept making mistakes. Jail time again. Sadly for Gates, his time in prison as a young kid wasn't gonna be his last stint. In 2003, Gates was involved in an altercation outside a movie theater and stabbed his opponent multiple times. Gates was charged with battery for kicking a fan in the summer of 2015 while he was performing on stage at an event in Lakeland, Florida. He used Florida stand your ground law in defense. On October 26, 2016, he was convicted of the charge and sentenced to 180 days in jail. In 2017, Gates was sentenced to a 30-month prison term at the East Moline, Illinois Correctional Facility for gun charges stemming from a 2013 incident, but was released on parole on January 10, 2018. So as you can see, he wasn't the perfect person, but he would also be the first to go and tell you that. He's someone who has looked back at his life and realized that he needed to be better, and for him that meant focusing on not just his philosophies of life, but also his music, as he didn't take it seriously at first, but when he got going it was something special. Rise to fame. Gates began his career in 2007 by signing to local label Dead Game Records. His career blossomed along with fellow Baton Rouge natives Boozy and Webby in the mid-2000s. You'd think that this would have been enough to showcase to himself that he had talent, and that he was someone who could go far in the industry, but instead he went and got in trouble and went to prison, as we noted, and apparently he got a master's degree there. But when he came back, he went right into music and started getting some hits under his belt, first with tracks and mixtapes, and then after talking with Birdman, he got the idea to start his own label and just make albums himself. Thus he made Breadwinners Association and started to release projects via that label, and it was really hitting, including getting on the charts. In May 2014, Gates was named a member of XXL's freshman class, a true honor for rappers. His debut studio album, Isla, released in January 2016 and peaked at number 2 on the US Billboard 200 chart. After that, he continued to release mixtapes and even released one in February of this very year. But when you look at the music that he's done, you're gonna see that it has a very different feel to it, mainly in that he's not going and singing about the typical rapper things, but rather he's barring out his soul to those who will listen. Confessional Anthems. Gates is known primarily for his confessional anthems that blend often autobiographical lyrics with refined southern beats. Definitely not what you would go and expect from a prominent rapper. Gates' lyrics often deal with subjects like depression, poverty, and prison time, something that he would know all about given how he was raised and grew up in the system in various ways. As we noted in the first bit of our video, rappers tend to sing about violence, the sale and use of drugs, and so on. But here he's honestly trying to talk to people with an emotional nakedness that people can appreciate because they know he's not just singing for himself, but to try and help others, not unlike what Eminem did when his rapping style changed after his near-fatal overdose. So as you can see, he's a very different kind of man, and you can see that in how he views things on life and views. So if you want to know what Gates has now in terms of his life and family, it's very easy to spell out. Gates married his longtime girlfriend Draka Haynes in October 2015. The couple have 2 children, Isla and Kaza. I got some children. I'm real close with them. I lay in bed with them, hold them, love on them. It really doesn't make sense to say how many kids I have. Not in a bad way, but it's not like the public will ever get to see my children. And if they do see them, they aren't gonna know they're mine.
I was just coming home when me and you met the first time. well, I didn't get to see my daughter take her first steps. That hurt me. That really hurt me. I didn't get to see my daughter take her first steps. And I don't know how other individuals feel, you know, other rappers, y'all tough guys, too hard for yourself. That's cool. Man, my feelings with her, I was crushed. Because now it's those little innocuous things that I won't be able to experience anymore because she's older. Right. She's 2 years old now. I can't take baths with her. I can't get in the shower in the tub with a 2-year-old. Right. She's now starting to explore her gender.
If you go and listen to some of his many interviews, you'll hear a rather enlightened man speaking to the hosts and to the listeners. For example, many quotes have been made about his philosophies, including how you should handle yourself around others, even when you're alone. If you associate yourself with peer pressure and complacency, you're destined for failure. On the topic of friends, he once noted in an interview that he could be friends with someone for 20 plus years, but if they did something that was truly offensive or hurtful, he'd love them enough to leave them. He also talked about how one should go and de-escalate a situation, and even he noted that violence, which he has done in the past, doesn't solve anything. It just makes things worse when you think that throwing fists will make everything better. And he's always learning and growing from observing those around him. You can learn from a dummy. You can watch a dummy and learn what not to do. I've always been an observant individual. You don't know how much you love something until you can't do it. That's one thing I can say that I learned. I learned how much I love music. Keep hearing his words and you'll realize that Kevin Gates is much more than meets the eye, the spotlight. So given all of this, why isn't he more of a household name in the rap industry? Part of it is because while he has some hits in regards to his albums and mixtapes, he hasn't truly gotten that mainstream fame that many others have. It's also likely because many view him as just another rapper, even though he's definitely more than that. But to those in the know, they know that Gates is someone who is trying to change his life, change the genre, and change the world in his own way, and that's to be appreciated. Seriously, look up some of his quotes and feelings on life and you'll hear the voice of a man who understands more than the world gives him credit for. So we'll have to give him the credit ourselves. And there you go, everyone. A look at the story of Kevin Gates and how he may be a rapper, but he's someone who doesn't really fit the same mold as others in the industry. Are you surprised by how different Kevin Gates is compared to fellow rappers? Do you think that he deserves to go and be more recognized than he is right now? Let us know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the channel.